We learned in the Sikha this morning that this week's parsha is Behar, and it talks about the Shemitah. So here, let's learn the Chumash with Rashi. Good? Yes. Vayadaber Hashem al Moshe Behar Sinai lemor. God spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai. Let's just do base so we can understand what Rashi is talking about. Daber al bnei Yisrael v'amarta aleim ki savo el oretz. When you come to the land of Israel, asher ani nosen lechem, that I gave to you, v'shav so oretz Shabbos laHashem, and the land should rest a Shabbos for Hashem. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Bahar Sinai. As the question says Rashi, Ma Inyan Shemitah Eitzel Har Sinai. A child, a 5-year-old child, is going to learn the Chumash, and he's going to come to the second sentence, and he's going to say, hey, this is a big disappointment. The first sentence says, these are the laws that God said. And now, what's this? There we go. These are the laws that God said on Mount Sinai. And then the second sentence, he just says, when you come to the land of Israel, you should make Shemitah. So it doesn't understand, what has this got to do with Har Sinai? We'll go back to the first sentence. That says, that's what Rashi asks, Ma in Shemitah Eitzel Har Sinai. Why are you talking about Shemitah, the law of the 7th year, by Mount Sinai? Hello, kol mitzvos. All the commandments were said on Mount Sinai. Ella, but Ma Shemitah Nemro Klaloson, just like Shemitah, there were said the general principles of the Shemitah, Prototean, the details, V'diktokean, and even the details of the details at Sinai. What are these generalities? What's it talking about? So it says, the generalities are, it says that in the 7th year, you should rest. That's a generality. What it means you should rest. You shouldn't go to work. You should sleep all the time. What does it mean? And then it says, afterwards it says details. Lo tizra, don't plant. Lo tizmor, don't shear your trees. Don't work on the trees. And then it has even diktoken, even small details. Lo tiksor, don't harvest anything. Liyod machzik bo kashar katsir, you should hold the land not like anything else, but everything should be hefker, etc. All the small details. Those are the small little details that are said in this law. In other words, most laws are said in the Torah in a very general way. And then you have the Mishnah and the Gemara to learn the details. We take a simple example on Shabbos and the 10 Commandments. It says, don't do any work. That's all it says. It just says, don't do any work. What does it mean, don't do any work? What are you supposed to do? It says you're supposed to work for 6 days. That means, and rest on Shabbos. Does it mean every 6 days you have to work? And then Shabbos, maybe just one time in your life. You have to just one time in your life do work for 6 days and keep Shabbos. So it doesn't explain. Here in the Shemitah, it explains not only general principles you have to rest, but it explains what it means to rest on the land. You're not supposed to plant, you're not supposed to plow, and etc. Okay, now the laws of Shemitah are very strange because it ends up that the whole land just goes for God. God takes care of the land. You don't do anything for the land. Let's look and see. Kach shanuya b'Torah's Kohanim. That's what it is taught in this midrash called Torah Kohanim. Another name for that is Sifra. And near a li, but it seems Sifra. It seems to me, this is what it means. It says Rashi, Lefi shalom matzino shmitat karkaot, because we do not find the resting of the land, shmitat karkaot, shenishnis be'aravos Moav, we don't see that when the Jewish people reached the border of Israel, right before they went in, we don't see in the whole book of Deuteronomy that Moshe repeated this law, Mishnah Torah. Therefore, Lamdu, we learned, Sheklaloteim, Prototeim, that the general idea of Shemitah and all the details, kulam, it must have been that they were all said on Mount Sinai. When God gave the Torah, there were certain laws. For instance, the whole book of Vayikra, right? The book of Vayikra. In general, it says Vayadaber al Shem al Moshe Ohel Moed. That these were laws that Moshe got from Hashem in the Ohel Moed. Ohel Moed means the tabernacle. The tabernacle was built almost a year after the Torah was given. So there were a lot of laws that were there. Then the next book, we see that there were a lot of laws that God gave when the Jews were wandering in the desert. Vayidaber Hashem Moshe b'midbar Sinai, when they were wandering around in the desert for the 40 years they were there. Then the whole book of Deuteronomy, of Devarim, that was said in Arvos Moav, right before the Jews went into the land of Israel. So there are different ways, different times that the Torah was given to the Jews. Well, says the Torah comes and tells us, no, it's not exactly so. The whole entire Torah was really given to Moshe. The whole entire Torah, all of the laws, were given to Moshe on Mount Sinai. It's just that little by little, they were revealed and explained as the time went on. Therefore, it comes, and so Lomadna, we learn, we learn that all of the laws of the whole Torah were said, all the general laws and all the specific details were all said on Mount Sinai. So the Torah comes to teach us here. I'll call Dibur Shenamar the Moshe, everything that was said on Sinai, Sheba Moshe Yakulam, that Moshe really received everything on Mount Sinai, even the laws that were said later in Parshas, in the book of Vayikra, that it says he spoke from Ohel Moed, the ones that it said in Bamidbar, that were said in the desert, the ones that were said by Arvos Moav, before the Jews went into the land of Israel, that's when they were revealed to him in a more detailed way. But really, everything was said in a capsulated way on Mount Sinai. All the details, v'chazru v'nishnu b'arvos Moav, and then Hashem just repeated everything later on as the Torah went on. Which, I mean, that's explains something. There were a lot of things that happened in the desert that were written in the Torah that happened after the Torah was given, right? The whole story of Korach, the whole story of the spies, right? All the stories about what happened in the desert when the Jewish people were wandering around. They complained about that there wasn't, the man wasn't any good. These are the things that all happened after Mount Sinai. So you might think, little by little, things were revealed. Says the Rebbe, no, here, that's what this is teaching us here. The Torah is teaching us that at Mount Sinai, Moshe received the whole entire Torah. Torah tziva lano Moshe. Torah tziva, what's Torah? Torah is the Gematria 611. Torah tziva lano, 611 commandments were commanded to us by Moshe on Mount Sinai. 611. And 2 we heard directly from Hashem. Anochi v'lo yelecha. That's how we know there were 613 commandments. All of this we received on Mount Sinai. And all the rest of the commandments that are there, that was just revealed, they were all given, but they were revealed and explained little by little, unfolded. The Torah unfolded as it went on. So there were things that weren't revealed yet to Moshe, or let's say he didn't understand it. There's another opinion that says that the whole entire Torah was just given in the first letter of Anochi, of the Aleph. And then little by little it became unfolded as the Jews were in the desert, the whole Torah. So that's why there were things that Moshe didn't know what to do. For instance, we had last week, right in the end of last week, we had the story of the Mokoshesh, of the Makalel, that the Jew that he said, he cursed and using Hashem's name. There was another law where we had the Koshesh Eitzim. Moshe didn't know what the punishment was, or he didn't know. What do you mean he didn't know? I thought he got everything on Mount Sinai. He says, yes, he got everything on Mount Sinai. There's one opinion that he got the whole entire Torah on Mount Sinai, but it wasn't broken up into the letters. He didn't know how to exactly divide it up. And little by little, Hashem divided and explained it to him. Second commandment, second sentence, I'm sorry. Daber el b'nei Yisrael, speak to the Jewish people. V'amarta aleim, say to them, Ki tavo el ha'eretz, when you come to the land of Oretz, when you come to the land of Israel, asher ani noten lechem, that I'm giving to you, the Shabbat Oretz Shabbos LaHashem, that the first thing you do, the Eretz Israel should rest for Hashem. Okay, now it's known And it doesn't make any sense, this law, because what does it mean? The first year they came into the land of Israel, they let the land rest. How could they let it rest from what? What are they supposed to let it rest from? Right? They never worked on it. In other words, the first year they came into the land of Israel, they weren't supposed to do anything, just let it rest. This is not so. As soon as they came in, they started to work on the land. And that's what you see the second. Let's look at the next sentence. The next sentence. 6 years you should work on your field, plant. 6 years you should work on your vineyard. And gather up all the produce. And on the 7th year, Shabbat Shabbaton Yel Oretz. It should be the 7th year should be a Shabbat to the Oretz. So if so, what does it mean? Here it contradicts the first sentence. The first sentence says that when you come to the land of Israel, immediately you have to make the Shemitah year. Right after that, it says, no, when you come to the land of the Oretz, first Eretz Israel, first you have to work 6 years. And then after the 6 years, you have to do. So let's see if Rashi deals with this. Shabbat LaHashem says, what does it say? Let's go again. When you come to the land, that I give to you, V'shav to Oretz, land of Israel should rest, Shabbat LaHashem, a Shabbos for God. What does it mean, L'shem, L'Shabbos for Hashem? L'shem Hashem, for the sake of God. Kashem Shene'amar, like it says, B'Shabbos Bereshis, just like it says on the first Shabbos. Now the first Shabbos, what was the first Shabbos? That was the first Shabbos that man was in the world. So the first day that man was in the world was Friday, true, but right after that, it was Shabbat. So we see that Shabbat, in a way, was the first thing that was to man. That Adam knew, it was clear to Adam that the whole world belonged to Hashem. That's what it means, that as soon as you come to the land of Israel, that the first year has to be a Shabbat to Hashem. What does it mean? Just like in the creation of the world. It was obvious that the whole world belonged to Hashem. There was no doubt about it. Then it says 6 days you should plow your field and work. And on the 7th day, the 7th year, 6 years you're supposed to work on your field. And the 7th year is supposed to be a year of rest. That's the second and the third, the next sentences. Sheish shanim tizra sadecha, sheish shanim tizmor karmecha, v'asafta tavoto, u'b'shana shvit, and the 7th year, Shabbat Shabbaton Yel Oretz. It will be a Shabbat to the land. Shabbat L'Hashem, another Shabbat for Hashem. Sadecha lo sizra, v'charmecha lo sizmor. Let's see, look what it says. Yiyeh l'oretz l'sadot u'l'karamim, to all of your fields and all of your vineyards. It refers also to all orchards and things. Lo tizmor, what does it mean, tizmor? Tizmor is you cut off the little branches to make the trees grow better. Shekotzim zmiroteha. Targum lo sichsach. Do not cut off the little branches. Makes the trees grow better. Like it says, kotzim kesuchin. Sarufa bo'esh kesucha. Kesucha means the little branches. Okay, so we see the same thing as also on Shabbat. Shabbat Kodesh. On Shabbat Kodesh in the nighttime, we say that it's a zecher, that there is remembering the Maisa Bereshis, when they say in Kiddush. And in the daytime, we say zecher liyatzias Mitzrayim. It's a remembering for going out of Egypt. This is really two different levels of Shabbat. The first level of Shabbat is that God made Shabbat. The first thing in the world that God made after he finished creating the world. But as far as man was concerned, the first thing that was there was Shabbat. Man didn't have to work. The first thing he got was Shabbat. Man was created just like 6 hours, whatever, before Shabbat. So man didn't really have to do anything to deserve the Shabbat. Shabbat was the first thing that happened. That's the first level of Shabbat, and that's what it hints at in the first sentence. It says, as soon as you come to the land of Israel, you should make a Shabbat. Realize that the whole thing comes from God. Then after that, there's another level of Shabbat, which is that we have to work for it, just like the Jews going out of Egypt. So they had to work 210 years, difficult work, hard work in Egypt. And then because of that, as Hashem took them out. So that's the second level of Shabbat. second level of Shabbat that the Jews got because of their work. So, in fact, what did they do? They came to the land of Israel, and in fact, they worked on the land for 6 years. The 7th year was, but spiritually, it was supposed to be that the first year that they came, it was devoted totally to Hashem. They realized that the land totally belongs to Hashem. It's a gift. And that's what it says. As soon as you come to the land of Israel, you have to realize that the land belongs to Hashem. This, by the way, is a very, the Rebbe said a lot of times, I remember it was repeated over by Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu also, that the land of Israel does not really belong to the Jews. The land of Israel doesn't belong to anybody. The land of Israel belongs only to God. And God decided that he wanted to give it to the Jews. And that therefore it's in the Jews' possession. But really the land never really left the ownership of Hashem. Because if it belongs to the Jews, then the Jews can give it away. They can give it away to anybody that they want to, which they can't do. So the Shemitah comes to remind us that the land of Israel belongs totally to God. Okay, what are you supposed to do on this 7th year? What are they supposed to do on the 7th year? Listen to this. Eit sefiach ketzircha lo siktzor. Sefiach ketzircha. Now, what is sefiach? Sefiach, those are plants and things that grow automatically. They grow on the ground even if you don't work on them. So if you have a big field and that grows up in your field, automatically, somehow, let's say there floats to your field, a grape, somebody by accident drops some grape seeds over there, or there was a big flood and there's washed into your land all these watermelon seeds and all these things, and all of a sudden the land starts to grow up things on their own. You didn't even plant them. So it says these things also, you're not allowed to harvest them. Let's look at Rashi. As safiach ketzircha, the automatic growth of your cuttings. Rashi says, afilu lo zarata, even if you did not plant them. V'hi tzamcha min hazor zera, and it grew up from seeds. Shenafal ba, that fell down. Ve'eta katzir, the time that you, in this case, that you harvested the land, and there fell seeds down, and then the next year they grew up. This is called safiach. Nevertheless, lo siksor, don't harvest them. Liot machzik bo kashar katzir, you should hold it like other planting. Ella hefker yakal, don't say this is different than others, that I can harvest. No, all of your land, everything that grows, has to be hefker, has to be ownerless. Anyone who wants to come can take from the land. Now, okay, this is not really so simple, because you can't really, it doesn't mean that your land is totally open, that people can come and wreck your trees, they can wreck your land, they can do whatever they want to your land. No, you're allowed to protect your trees and do the minimum so that they don't die. It's not that you're supposed to suffer, but it's just you're not supposed to improve anything. So that's what it says. The land should be hefker to everybody. Everyone can use it, but they can't destroy it. So it doesn't mean that people can come in and climb up on your trees and tear off the branches and etc. It's not so. That you just have to stop looking at your fields. Nizirecha, don't also deal with your nizirecha. What is nizirecha? Means these are shenizarta v'hifrashta b'nei adam behem v'lo ifkarta. Namely, things that that people are not going to use. You've decided, I'm not going to use these things, and so therefore, I'm not going to let anybody use them. This is my wine, my grapes that I have made a vow not to use them at all, right? Also, osam lo tivsor, don't, even though these are grapes that I swore that I was not going to use them, no use whatsoever, so I'll say, I can't use them, no one else can use them also. No. Also, these also, eno botzer, you're not allowed to harvest them, ella mina hefker, a mufkar. This is, everything is ownerless, and you have to eat from what's hefker just like everybody else. But everybody else eats from what's ownerless. You also have to eat from what's ownerless. Your whole field has to be without ownership. Hayasa Shabbos ha'oretz lachem lachla. It should be a Shabbos, the land for you to eat. Lacha u'la'avdecha v'la'masecha. You and your servants and your maidservants. L'schircha and the first people that you hired to work. We're going to see even non-Jews, and people that dwell in the land that live with you, even non-Jews. Let's see and look and see. Ha-yasa, Shabbos ha'oretz, the land. Let's do Rashi. Rashi. Shabbos ha'oretz, af al pi, even though she'asartim alecha, that I made it forbidden for you. Lo ba'achila, v'lo b'hana, I didn't forbid you to eat from your fields. V'lo b'hana, and I didn't allow you to get pleasure from them. You can. Everyone can. You're just like everybody else. Ela shalot tinhag b'hem kabbalah bayis. You should treat your land that you are not the owner of the land. Ela kol yeshavim bo. Everyone should be equal. You, sechircha, the people who you hire, the toshavcha, the non-Jews that live in Israel. It's non-Jews that accepted on themselves the 7 Noahide commandments. Shabbos ha'oretz lachem la'achla. The whole land has to be rested for everyone to eat. Mina shavut atochel. You are allowed to eat from what is what's not worked on. But if you do harvest any crops, then you're not allowed to eat from them because you're hoarding. It's not allowed to. You're supposed to leave everything ownerless. Because it says that it already says in another place, we'll see in the next second, that the poor people of the land should eat. So you might think that poor people can eat, that rich people can't eat. That's why Talmud Torah says, L'cha, to you, Ula avdecha, and your servant, Lamosecha. Hari ba'alim va'avadim mishvachot amurim kan. It says also the owners can eat, the servants and the maidservants, they can all eat. And it says, L'sirchircha, l'soshavcha. What does that mean? Af l'nachrim. Even non-Jews, they're allowed to come and eat from your land. Non-Jews that are working for you, or non-Jews that happen to live in the land of Israel that accepted on them the 7 Noahide commandments. Let's just do another couple of these and we'll skip over the Rashi because we'll see. Ulivahem techa, to your animals, l'chayot asher b'artzecha, to the animals, to the wild animals on the land. All the produce is free to eat. For everyone can come in and eat. If the wild animals can eat, for sure your domesticated animals can eat. Because you're obliged to feed them, your cows, your sheep. Why does it say to your behemoths? So it says, makish behema l'chaya. Because it's coming to tell you that your behema, your domesticated animals, and the wild animals are the same. Called the zaman, shechaya ocholot miasada, all the time that the wild animals eat from the field. Ha'achala behema bayit. You can feed your domesticated animals. You can feed them from your house. In other words, let's say you stored up food for your animals. You can do that for your animals. But as soon as there's no more food in the field for the wild animals, you have to remove everything from your house that you saved up from the animals and give it all to everyone. In other words, the wild animals in the field can eat freely from your field. Wild animals can eat freely from your field, and as soon as the food finishes from your field, then any food which you have stored up to feed for your animals, your own personal animals, you have to give it to everyone. Because you're allowed to store up food for your animals only as long as there is food for the wild animals to eat in your field. Let's just do a little bit, I'll just read in English what's going to be now. After the 7 years, it says like this. You should count for yourself 7 periods of 7. Sheva Shabso Shanim, Sheva Shanim, Sheva Pamim. Count 7 periods of 7. And they should be Sheva Shabso Shanim. These 7-year periods come out to be 49 years. And at the 50th year, now the 50th year is also considered to be a Shemitah year. Because when the 50th year comes, there's 2 years in a row that you don't work on your field. the 49th year, that's going to be the Shemitah year. And then the 40th night, that's the 49th year, I'm sorry, is the Shemitah year. And the 50th year, that's what's called the Yovel. Then that year, the 50th year, Va'avarta shofar teruah b'chodesh hashavi, the shofar is sounded, Asor l'chodesh on Yom Kippur, a shofar should be sounded. And then what happens, there's going to be what we call the Yovel year. All of the slaves go free. All the land goes back to its original owners, as we're going to talk about, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's do